I see seas of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. My name is Kate Kirkwood, and I'm delighted to be your worship associate this morning. Normally, if you would like more information about FirstU, it would be available at the welcome table at the back of the pews. However, while the FirstU building is shut down because of the COVID-19 virus, you may instead contact us through email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. I repeat, for more information, please email us at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. After this and future services, our normal hospitality hour will be replaced by a virtual getting together. If you'd like to join us for hospitality hour, please see our website, firstunitarianottawa.ca, or our weekly email newsletter, the EUU, for information on how to do so. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, and however you identify, today you are part of our spiritual community. Welcome. We hope you come back soon.
Thank you, Kate. Bonjour. Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Patricia Guthmann Haresch. You can call me Pat. I'm the minister of the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. Although the doors to our building are closed to do our part in preventing the spread of disease, we still are a vibrant congregation with open minds, spirits, and hearts. This morning I welcome you into my home, the home of our music director, our director of religious exploration, and this morning's worship associate. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. It is a beautiful thing to think that even though we are in separate places, protecting ourselves and others by staying away from a crowd, here we are together online, listening, connecting, and soon even singing songs. I hope this moment finds you well. A few more announcements. While the building is closed, our staff is working remotely and are monitoring emails during regular work hours from home. Phone calls will not be monitored regularly, so do please email. As we won't be seeing each other in person, it is more important than ever to be signed up to receive the EUU, our weekly email newsletter. Also check out our Facebook page and our web page for notices and updates. Our online calendar is as full as ever. In this past Friday's EUU, it included information regarding newly formed chalice groups and a men's check-in and general check-in and youth and kid check-ins on Zoom and Sunday morning forums, opportunities for helping in the community, and interfaith activities. So do check out all of our ways of communicating with each other. We now have a subscription to Zoom teleconferencing, and many of our committees and groups are using Zoom to connect. We continue to have basic and advanced trainings on Zoom, and you can also connect to Zoom gatherings by phone. You don't even have to have a computer. Just call and you can be part of our Zoom conversations. Let us know if you are hoping to connect with Zoom conferences by phone, and we can give you that information. Also, if you're needing some help in wondering if you have all the right devices, we'll help you out too. To schedule a Zoom conference, please email our operations manager at OM@firstunitarianottawa.ca. And if you are having any trouble connecting, as I said, please email. This morning, folks we're very pleased, from Kingston, the Kingston Unitarian Fellowship, are joining with us in watching today's service. And so we will have a special guest from CUF, also the Kingston Unitarian Fellowship, known as CUF, and to read our opening words. And I think she already has lit the chalice. Years ago, my friend and colleague Diane Rollert, who has served for a long time the Unitarian Church in Montreal, had encouraged me to search for a church in Canada. One of the reasons being the wonderful colleagues that are here. This morning's special guest is one of those wonderful colleagues, the minister at CUF, the Reverend Beckett Coppola. The theme of this morning's service is about our capacity to hold joy and sorrow, gratitude and loss in our hearts all at one time. That really we have all that we need to face the times we are in. With this in mind, Beckett will open the service. After Beckett has completed the reading, we will sing our chalice song.
Good morning, Ottawa First and Kingston Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Reverend Beckett Coppola, the settled minister in Kingston, and I'm delighted to share with you this morning the chalice lighting reading, a poem from Susan Glassmeyer. I tell you. I could not predict the fullness of the day, how it was enough to stand alone without help in the green yard at dawn. How 2 geese would spin out of the ochre sun, opening my spine, curling my head up to the sky in an arc I took for granted. And the lilac bush by the red brick wall, flooding the air with its purple weight of beauty. How it made my body swoon, brought my arms to reach for it without even thinking. In class today, a Dutch woman, split in 2 by a stroke, one branch of her body a petrified silence, walked leaning on her husband to the treatment table. While we, the unimpaired, looked on with envy, how he dignified her wobble, beheld her deformation, untied her shoe, removed the brace that stakes her weaknesses, how he cradled her down in his arms to the table, smoothing her hair as if they were alone in their bed. I tell you, his smile would have made you weep. At twilight, I visit my garden, where the peonies are about to burst. Some days there will be more flowers than the vase can hold. May we all remember this, that some days there will be more flowers than the vase can hold.
Chalice, chalice, burning bright, help remind us with your light of how we'd like to live each day with love and truth helping lead the way.
Hi everyone, it's Nao, your DRE. I hope everyone is doing well. The story I'm reading to you today is called In My Heart, A Book of Feelings by Joe Wittek. Enjoy! My heart is full of feelings, big feelings and small feelings, loud feelings and quiet feelings, quick feelings and slow feelings. My heart is like a house, with all those feelings living inside. Sometimes my heart feels like a big yellow star, shiny and bright. I smile from ear to ear and twirl around so fast I feel as if I could take off into the sky. This is when my heart is happy. I can stand up tall as if I can touch the clouds. New people and places don't frighten me. I can do it. Watch me go. This is when my heart is brave. When I get really angry, my heart feels as if it's going to explode. Don't come near me. My heart is yelling hot and loud. This is when my heart is mad. But other times, my heart is cool. I bob along gently like a balloon on a string. My heart feels lazy and slow, as quiet as a snowfall. This is when my heart is calm. On harder days, mean words hurt my feelings, and my heart feels hurt too. It's fragile and delicate, but it can be healed with extra kisses. This is when my heart is broken. Some days, my heart feels as heavy as an elephant. There's a dark cloud over my head, and tears fall like rain. This is when my heart is sad. But my heart doesn't stay sad. Like springtime after winter, the sun comes out again. My heart grows tall like a plant reaching towards the sky. This is when my heart is hopeful. When I see something scary, my heart beats fast. I feel cold as if a chilly breeze has crawled up my neck, and I run away as fast as I can. This is when my heart is afraid. Sometimes I hide my heart away where no one can see, like my own small treasure. I don't want anyone to look at me. Safe on my wings, I can watch the world from up above. This is when my heart is shy. Our hearts can feel so many things, so many feelings. How does your heart feel? Hi again to everybody. I hope you enjoyed the story. It's one of my favorites. Again, it's called In My Heart, A Book of Feelings by Joe Whittick. If you can get a copy of the book, it's really great. It has really beautiful imagery. Unfortunately, I did not have a copy, but I hope you enjoyed the book, and I'm wishing everybody a beautiful Sunday.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deirdre Kellerman. I am the music director at First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. Our opening hymn this morning is called Breaths. It's number 1001 in our teal hymnal. And there are a variety of ways that you can sing or participate in this song. You can sing along with me to the beautiful text. You can sing an ostinato, a line that goes over and over. And it's really easy. It sounds like this. Dum da da dum 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 da da dum 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 da da dum 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 dum. That goes over and over again. Let's try that again. Dum da da dum 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 da da dum 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 dum. Dum, da, dum, dum, dum. So you could sing that the whole time. This is a really great one to add in some percussion instruments like a shaker. Dum, dum, da, dum, 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 da, dum, dum, dum. There's also some really fun whoosh, whoosh, parts. So those are a great way to include some of you who may not be comfortable singing, or some kids if you want to get into the whooshes and ahs. This is number 1001. Sing along.
To
This is the time in the service when we are drawn closer to the heart of love at our center. Words from the UU minister, Victoria Safford. For now, may all of you stay safe. May you attend faithfully to all the small and steady ways you've found to soothe your anxious heart. Attend to these with care, the same care you take to drink water, the care you take to stay well. May those you love be held and protected, children and elders, those near and far. May we all find ways to center those in our midst who are now the most vulnerable. Neighbors whose names we may not even know. Communities at the margins who are now at the center of risk. May we make space to wonder, how can I help? And find the ways to answer with glad and grateful hearts. Let us draw the circle wide and keep the circle whole. Today I'll place stones in the water that some of you have asked me to place for those who you are thinking of, joys and concerns. Excuse me. A stone for one among us who is healing from a stroke. A stone for those among us who are fighting COVID-19. A stone for those among us who were able to get surgery they needed and are recovering. A stone for those young families who are finding this time of COVID-19 with daycares and schools closed so very stressful. A stone for families. Another stone for a joy. Yesterday, my mom turned 92. Very exciting. And some stones for the sun, blue skies, and all that is changing into green and blossoms. May we hold these joys and sorrows of this gathered community in our hearts and join together in a moment of silence. Let us be still together.
This morning's reading is Let Me Die Laughing by Reverend Mark Morrison Reed from a collection of African American writings entitled Been in the Storm So Long, a Unitarian Meditation Manual. We are all dying, our lives always moving towards completion. We need to learn to live with death and to understand that death is not the worst of all events. We need to fear not death, but life, empty lives, loveless lives, lives that do not build upon the gifts that each of us have been given, lives that are like living deaths, lives which we never take the time to savor and appreciate, lives in which we never pause to breathe deeply. What we need to fear is not death, but squandering the lives we have been miraculously given. So let me die laughing, savoring one of life's crazy moments. Let me die holding the hand of the one I love, and recalling that I tried to love and was loved in return. Let me die remembering that life has been good and that I did what I could. But today, just remind me that I'm dying so that I can live, savor, and love with all my heart.
Thank you, Kate. I often speak of the little congregation. I served on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The Outer Banks being a string of barrier islands along the southeastern coast of the Atlantic Ocean of the United States. The last house we lived in, we called it the Blue House. The last house we lived in was a few long blocks from the beach. On a beautiful Friday afternoon in the fall, after school was out, John came home early from work and my family went to the beach. It was a glorious afternoon. The sky was clear, blue from horizon to horizon. There was just the right amount of breeze and the temperature was perfect. It was after the tourist season, so only a few folks were on the beach and everyone was friendly and smiling. I was sitting on a blanket taking it all in. At one point I realized a peculiar natural phenomenon. From one end of the beach to the other, all the birds, and they were the same kind of bird I think, or maybe a few different ones too, all the birds scattered along the beach and the sand were standing facing the same direction toward the sun in the west. Have you ever seen that before? Every bird on the beach was staring in the same direction. It was a spectacular but kind of a comical sight. I watched my guys, my family. At that point it was just John and my oldest Will. Alex wasn't around yet, and they were playing in the waves. It was blissful. And for a moment I sat in amazement at the wonders of the sky and the earth and the ocean, and in gratitude for my family, my life, the moment. I had an overwhelming feeling of being in love with and absolutely connected to the world. As Beckett read in this morning's chalice reading from Susan Glassmeyer, some days there will be more flowers than the vase can hold. But then, in my moment of bliss, my mind began to wander to places across the ocean and around the world, to other families living in other circumstances. I began to think of places where a family couldn't be playing out in the open, but would be cowering in their home for protection, afraid to let their children out where they could be caught in a sniper's crossfire or run across an IED, an improvised explosive device. And if they were outside and they should be injured or killed, their extended family devastated, they would be considered my least favorite phrase when it relates to people. They would be considered collateral damage. Collateral damage to some, just a part of the death toll that becomes accepted during wartime or in places where there is unrest at the time. And at that time it was Afghanistan, Iran, and, well, even the streets of Chicago. In that moment, just another Friday afternoon on the beach, I was experiencing that essential paradox of being a thinking, feeling human. of why perhaps we seek religious or spiritual truth or connection and community. That experience of grandeur and awe of this great mystery before us that is beyond anything we could create or conceive, beyond our full comprehension and understanding, that sits before us on the one hand, while on the other we hold the heartbreaking truths of the world, suffering, death, injustice. So much of which we hold in either hand is beyond our control and creation. It can almost be too much to bear at times. A Lebanese American poet, writer, artist, Khalil Gibran notes, "Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. There can be no life without a share of pain and disappointment, unless you keep your heart and mind closed to the world around you. In reality, awe and wonder, joy and delight, sorrow and heartbreak are all bound up together." Gibran notes further, "When you are sorrowful, look again into your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight." We would not grieve so deeply if we had not known love or joy so deeply. Yet I don't want to get sentimental about wallowing in our grief, right? We can grieve deeply because we have only known regret and hurt in a particular situation as well. And so this topic of grief, I've been thinking about grief a lot during this COVID-19 time. Given all the realities of the world and this notion of Gibran's that we are suspended like scales between sorrow and joy, one would think that in life, wouldn't we get this? We could just naturally ebb and flow with ease between happiness and sadness, joys and sorrows. Yet not so much. What typically happens when we have suffered a great loss, whether death of a loved one or divorce or a job loss, we have this tendency. Our families and friends who are well-intentioned will tell us, and our own inclinations will be, to as quickly as possible get back to normal again, right? To stuff or anesthetize the feelings of sadness, helplessness, regret, and just be happy again. But healing takes time. Grieving, while a complicated and mixed bag of emotions, is a natural response and process, yes? And although research indicates there is this set of typical stages of grieving, the Hospital Foundation of America and others will note it is best not to think of grief as stages. First you do 1, then 2, then 3, and so on. You can't look at a calendar, right, and say, okay, it's been 2 months now since Dad died. I guess I'm in the acceptance stage now, right? It just doesn't work that way. Instead of stages, as you probably know, of the grieving process, right? Unfortunately, it's more like a roller coaster, full of ups and downs, highs and lows. Like many roller coasters, the ride tends to be tougher in the beginning for some, kind of the what now. The highs go by in an instant. The lows tend to be deeper and longer. And grief, like a roller coaster, is experienced so differently from person to person. Some folks fare the ride more easily than others. The difficult periods should become less intense and shorter as time goes by, but it takes time to work through a loss. Even years later, we may still experience a strong sense of grief, and we never know when it's going to hit us, right? It can take a long time to fill those holes left by loss. For all of you who have lost a loved one this year, for any of you who have ever lost a loved one, for those whose marriages have broken up or are kind of on the edge, for those who have faced financial uncertainty this year, for those feeling a profound sense of isolation right now and uncertainty, my heart goes out to you. Although we each experience grief and loss in our own way and differently at times in our life, I know whatever you have experienced, you have endured much. No matter if we are forewarned or had no warning, when our world is turned upside down by some devastating loss and change, it can be as if we have fallen into a deep abyss, a whole other time and space, kind of like a foreign land where we don't understand the rules or the language. Kind of like it feels right now, right? Where are we going? Where are we headed? What is this place we're in, this time of pandemic? When we're feeling that great sense of loss, perhaps we are so numb, so deep in grief, so turned around by the uncertainty of this time. We can barely hear whatever anyone is saying to try and help us heal. No matter how many books are written about it, no matter the words of those with the best of intentions, nothing really prepares us for experiencing the death of those we care for, whose lives have been so much a part of our lives, or for the solid ground, the loss of solid ground we thought we were standing on, to be shaken up by financial loss or the end of a marriage. So many of us are telling each other these days, we were never prepared for a pandemic, that our world would be so turned around and shaken up. Nobody prepared us for that. When will we feel normal again? When will we all reach an equilibrium of some sort again? I think this is why I've been thinking about grief and loss. Some of you who have been describing your experience of swinging from the joy that has come with the quiet and the solitude of social distancing to a deeper sadness of knowing the suffering and loss of life going on in the world, what the caregivers and healthcare providers must be going through, knowing how the most vulnerable are suffering the most, missing those who have left this world, or missing our grandchildren, not to pick them up and hold them, or loved ones, missing them more than ever. This sadness, like grief, is not something to get over. For if we try to shove it away, it will just come popping back up to meet us again, usually at the most inconvenient of times. We need to take time in our lives to take care of ourselves and these complicated feelings we might have during these complicated times. We need to tend to our own healing. Call a friend, seek help, journal, cozy up with a blanket and look out the window. Whatever it is that brings you comfort, strength, and solace. Patrick Overton's short poem. It appears a lot on Facebook and social media. It's a short poem called Faith, and it reads, "When we walk to the edge of all the light we have and take the step into the darkness of the unknown, we must believe that one or two things will happen. There will be something solid for us to stand on, or we will be taught to fly." It's so short, I'm going to repeat it again. When we walk to the edge of all the light we have and take the step into the darkness of the unknown, we must believe that one of two things will happen. There will be something solid for us to stand on, or we will be taught to fly. I am almost certain we all have been at this place at some point in our lives before, on the edge of uncertainty. Whether you feel you are managing well or not, for you to be here listening to my voice means there has been some sort of loss that you have suffered at some point in your life, and somehow you found something to stand on, or perhaps were even taught to fly. You should be commended for that. Give yourself some credit for how far you have come since in your own life, after whatever you endured. And whatever experience or lessons you learned to get here today will bring you through these uncertain times we all face today. The late Reverend Forrest Church, who was writing with the knowledge that he was dying of pancreatic cancer, noted this: "Unless we armor our hearts, we cannot protect ourselves from loss. We can only protect ourselves from the death of love. Yet without love, nothing matters." Please don't armor your heart. Either you have found, or may you find, your sources of strength and comfort, whether in your Unitarian Universalist community or in other people around you who have given you support. The ways of the universe are mysterious, at times far beyond our understanding. This is an awesome, beautiful, but a far too often heartbreaking world. Yet even as we have come to this moment with fear and anxiety, broken and mending hearts, may we feel a sustaining presence, a knowledge that we are not alone. Whenever two or more people gather together, love, support, and encourage each other, there is a power greater than ourselves that can renew, restore, and sustain us. If you are alone, if you feel alone in a full house even, do reach out. Life is a roller coaster ride, yes. Steeper for some than for others, it seems. How we experience the ride will depend greatly on our ability to both navigate the bumps and savor the high and smooth times. As we swing on the scale between joy and sorrow, may we take care of and support each other. May we let others care for us and strengthen us. We need each other and don't need to be alone in our down times. May we remember those who have gone before us in a way that will help us choose the deeper path of living and of love. May all that has gone before in our lives help us to take the next step toward healing, enlightenment, and service. Help us to land on solid ground or learn to fly. And may we remember, we needn't ever feel that we are alone, for no matter who we are loved by and within an unending circle of love. May you know this. May it be so.
This is the time in our service that we usually accept the offering. You may go to our website or contact the finance manager to find out how you might keep up with your pledge or make a donation during these times. Words for receiving the offering. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Let us now sing hymn number 336, All My Memories of Love.
All my memories of love hang upon high stars. All the souls I've lost to tears now the autumn jars. And the air around me here thickens with their song. Sing again their nameless tunes, sing again and strong. Willows in September touch the water clear, set among the rushes tall of the flowing year. Rising up from sunlit past comes the shadowed side, running toward me silently, love to fortify. Many are the graceful hearts hung upon this tree, and it seems there's room for mine on these branches free. And the sky above the tree, whether wet or bright, is my ease and comforting, my good news and light.
As we extinguish the chalice, these words adapted from the late Unitarian minister, the Reverend John W. Cyrus. We enter life in a mystery and leave it in a mystery. Through all our days, we are upheld by a power we do not fully understand. Joy comes to us beyond our expectation and difficulty beyond our imagining. Teach us the faith that if we persist, we shall know the truth and be glad of life through all our days. Turn our eyes and heart again to the world of the living, to the needs of those who we love, to the work we have to do, to a life of sympathy and generosity for all who live and grow and die. May it be so. Let us sing, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart.
Go in peace, go in joy, go in love, and may all be well.